Jerry Johnston is a man who believes these allegations are true and who says so in his book called The Edge of Evil. He believes these satanic crimes can directly be linked to the teachings in the Satanic Bible, which was written by the founder and high priest of the Church of Satan in America, Anton LaVey.
And with us to debate Mr. Johnson is Anton LaVey's daughter, Satanist Zeena LaVey. And she says that these Satan crimes have nothing to do with the Church of Satan or with any of the killings or the molestations that have been taking place, that they're not committed by real Satanists. And both of you, welcome to the show.
Yes.
Obviously, we're at kind of an impasse of ideas here. In reading this and reading the intro a minute ago, why the 13th century for, quote, Satanism to start? Why was that century significant?
To tell you the truth, I really don't feel that the century it begins has any relevance in why we're here today.
Okay.
And I think it's an important, I think the most important issue to bring up is that the Church of Satan and Satanists are beginning their own investigation on people like Jerry Johnston who say that they're investigating Satan's underground. There is, in fact, no such thing as Satan's underground, and I think it's very important to state that books like these are only published by Christian outlets. You know, I showed this to a friend of mine who is a a well-known literary agent, and he threw it back at me and said this couldn't be taken seriously in any real publishing company.
Jerry, let's let Jerry answer.
Wait a second, because I also saw him at last Sunday at the Amy Semple McPherson Church giving one of his lectures. Now, what I'd like to know is if, you know, he claims this is an unbiased look at Satanism. Here it says authoritative, unbiased. Then why don't you come on the show saying that you're a minister?
Well, I think the way to answer is, first off, that we can no longer deny the phenomenon that teenagers are the prime recruitment category for Satanism. Let me just pause, Zeena, and remind you what your father told the Washington Post. Let's give credit where credit's due. The satanic rock lyrics, the satanic movies, and even the satanic murders all grew from the Church of Satan. Let's give me a little credit for having moved society up or down, but for at least having moved it. And the problem is...
Let's bring the audience up to date for just a second. Jerry, you've written this book, and essentially you've gone across the country researching Satanism with teenagers.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
They just need to know.
We have a New York publisher right now that is negotiating with us on the mass market buy of The Edge of Evil. So I don't think we're talking about literary trash.
Are you a minister?
Absolutely. I'm a Christian. I believe that there's a spiritual aspect of it.
Let me just ask you, let's take this one step at a time. You're a minister. Are you affiliated with a denomination at all?
I'm affiliated with the Southern Baptist denomination. But I have the opportunity, Zeena, if you let me finish.
Okay.
I have the opportunity because as a 16-year-old kid, I was a druggie and suicidal, and my life got turned around. I developed a 30-minute address called Life Expose that we've given on about 2,500 public school campuses, which is not a sermon. It is me sharing with kids because I feel like I've been where a lot of these kids are. And we have networked with a lot of crisis groups. So because we exert some protocol, people like this, you know, want to jump to conclusions that are fanatics.
Okay, now let's wait a minute. Let's give you some time here.
Let's give you propaganda.
Okay, now I understand Satanism is more of a lifestyle.
Right.
That's what you're advocating. Okay, fill us in a little bit so the audience can and we can understand it.
Okay, I mean, what we've always represented is, you know, Satan we take in the semantic sense as meaning the opposite or the opposed or the one to actually question people like Jerry Johnston rather than he questioning us. We're the ones who, you know, came out of the fundamental religions and said, why is there all this repression? You know, I think the problem with teenagers is they come from repressed families that, you know, there's a lack of communication.
But back to your religion,
I
don't think anybody would ever begrudge your right to have, everybody to have their own religion.
Right. Well,
but I think that there may be those who see a very negative connotation in Satanism just because of the word. And maybe we are misunderstanding what it is your religion stands for. Does it stand for sacrificing people?
Of course not. No.
But the problem we have here...
Well, no, wait a minute. See, he claims to be an expert on Satanism, but he's not.
Zeena,
all he has is
Zeena, let's
Christian
go back
propaganda.
to the facts.
Before we do that, I hate to
are.
say this, guys, but we've got to take a break, and we'll be right back after
this. The fact is, we have a commercial.
Yeah.
They're with us right now to talk about Satanism, and one of the things that we report on news seemingly week in, week out it has to do with heavy metal, whether there is a message there in Satan worship. Is there?
Right. Well, see, the way the Church of Satan feels about heavy metal is that there is absolutely nothing satanic about it. We feel that heavy metal is about as satanic as Fruit Loops or wood paneling. I mean, we teach our children to appreciate classical music. You know, if your kid came home with the Satanic Bible in one hand and, you know, Brahms' Lullaby in the other, what would you say? Would you say, this is bad, this is not good, it's satanic, you know? Or if you started listening to Wagner, Wagner was always considered satanic.
Really, the issue is not heavy metal music. These are just executives that are moving albums. The issue is, do parents want their teenager to absorb a lifestyle that says death to the weakling, only the strong reign, the Satanic Bible, which I happen to bring with me today, which talks about naked altar, a lady naked as an altar. I mean, we're not talking about
naked? What's wrong with being naked?
Absolutely
I mean,
nothing. But when we're talking about young people
from a Christian
who
standpoint
get into these, keep in mind their holidays are distinctively their sexual or blood rituals.
Yeah, speaking of the holidays, he does not, for all of the research he does in his book, supposed research, he gets all the holidays wrong. He says that Halloween is on October 29th and November 1st. Now, how many of us know that it's on the 31st? You don't have to be a Satanist to know that.
Let's remember, if we could, that
but how can you take a book like this seriously? That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
but every page has a typo on it. I mean, I really scoured that book.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
The fact of the matter is...
What's the danger to children? What's the benefit of Satanism, as you see it, to teenagers, and what's the danger? Let's have you first.
Okay, the benefit of Satanism to me is an alternative to either mass consciousness, to the fundamental religions that say, look at the 7 deadly sins. What are they? I mean, these are all things that motivate people. These are all things that, you know, that promote progress and evolution. What is wrong with these things?
The danger is these people prey on teenagers who are lacking something. Let me finish. A lack of belonging. They promise kids drugs, sex, and power. Now, the religious public Satanists would not. But they would say they would not.
There are only religious
But the self-styled groups that are the popular ones that absorb in every community in a covert manner, look at kids. And as Sean Sellers on death row said, the center thing to all of these atrocities with regard to teenagers is this book right here. Undeniable.
Okay, now, Sean,
on what is this Bible based?
Well,
your father wrote
the Bible.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that Sean Sellers, being on death row, of course, is going to say anything he can to get
he and everyone else is unhinged. All these people are crazy. Come on. They're not crazy. They're not unhinged. They were kids. Sean Sellers was a very brilliant kid at Putnam City North High in Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
that at the age of 17 preferred to call himself Ezeret and read this Bible avidly, drank vials of blood to school, carried them, drank them in school, and then killed his mother and father.
You know, when you kill someone...
And when you look back and see the common denominator link, these kids all have this book central focus. Now, she may not be violent. I'm not saying she is, but I'm saying there's some kids that are taking this literally.
The research I've done on the Sean Sellers case, in the very beginning, when that was first, you know, when it was first brought to the public eye, is that Sean Sellers had a drug problem, period. Satanism had nothing to do with it. And then immediately...
Zeena, that is a denial of the facts. He was on drugs.
Immediately he jumped on the satanic bandwagon to justify what he did. No, that's true.
Obviously. What do you teach teenagers in the Satanic Church?
We teach teenagers, first of all, to be proud of what they are, that each of them is an individual. We teach them, you know, literature. I mean, we have them reading Jack London. We don't have them, you know, reading things that
poems, I'm sure. The fact of the matter is...
All right, we've got...
Have an apple.
The fact of the matter is we've got to educate parents to occultic dabbler warning signs. The educational community must be alerted to this trend.
If these kids really read the Satanic Bible...
then we're going to see more atrocities, like in Oklahoma City, like all over. And now Orange County is talking about the number of animals that are being...
and that's been disproven. You know, you really, for all the research you think you've done in that book, you really don't know much.
You are the only one.
And also, you're a really good con man, I must say.
Okay, good.
Let me just... At this church
can we just do this? Can we do this?
Literally passing around the dish.
Can we do this?
He makes a lot of money off these things.
Oh, I'm sure. How much has your father made off this book while we're talking about making money?
Let me ask you something. Do you all pass
my father doesn't ask for generous donations, and I quote, this is what he was was saying to everybody in this packed church,
can we do
please
this?
give me generous donations.
No, I
Do you take an offering at your church?
No.
You don't take, no money? How are you supported?
We really aren't. That's why we are not a physical church. And I might add, he says that we...
Zeena,
guys, we're down to 15.
Let me say this. My complaint
I just want to get in one thing about the tax exemption.
Quickly.
Tax exemption, he is, he claims tax-free status because he's a church and we don't.
I'm not a church. That, again,
Thanks for being on the show today. Jerry Johnson and Jeannie LeVay. Zeena LeVay. Zeena is the co-author of a new book called The Satanic Witch, and Jerry Johnson's book is called The Edge of Evil. We'll be right back after this.